Judy and Will, first and foremost, and Ken and ladies and gentlemen. First of all, good morning, and I am here accompanied by, and you'll hear from them later, two of my colleagues on City Council, Joe Cressy and Mike Layton. And I can't tell you how happy and how proud and how privileged I am to be here this morning as the mayor of the city when something like this is happening. Not atypical of Judy Matthews and of the Matthews family, and I've known them for a long time. Judy failed to mention the one thing that I think is worth mentioning 1,000 times over, and that is that this project will be financed by way of a $25 million donation from their family to make it happen, and I think that's really huge. It is an incredible and transformative gesture, and gesture doesn't do justice to what this is. But it's going to make a huge difference, as Ken and as Judy herself have said this morning. I was a member of the University of Toronto Governing Council when the very same Judy and Will Matthews came along and said that St. George Street, and I had been a student at the U of T, and it was a pretty barren kind of street for the main street running through the campus of our largest university. And they, again, with others, but they took the initiative, as they've done here, to finance and to envision what could be done with St. George Street, and the result today is something that is, so much better than what it was. They had a vision of what they wanted to do with it, and they acted on it. And that is, again, what they've done here. It's not a surprise, again, that they have emerged as what they are, which is two of our most committed, visionary, and generous citizens and city builders, and thank goodness for that. And I just want them to know that they have the respect and gratitude of the entire city and its mayor and its councillors and just about everybody else that you could possibly name for this extraordinary gesture. Now, Judy well described how this is going to have a magical effect, I think, on the area beneath the Gardiner, helping to bridge the divide between different parts of the city, the waterfront, the neighbourhoods, with creativity, with beauty, and with vision. I think if you'd ever said to anybody there'd be any beauty involved at all in any of the area here, people would have said, well, what are you thinking of? But now I think you'll see from what's described here, what you saw in the video, and what you'll see outside, that there really is something, as Judy said, quite majestic about this. And it will do so in close collaboration with the residents of the area. I mean, they have come up with the concept, they have provided this extraordinary donation, and now a process of consultation begins. It'll be relatively short because I can assure you from minute one when Judy came in my office to tell me about this, she was clear in saying if it didn't get done at a faster pace than we normally do things, then maybe it wouldn't happen. She never really threatened that, but I kind of got the message. And so I can't wait to see what the residents and what all the people that are going to be involved in making this happen have to say and what the result is going to be. Toronto, I think, is on an amazing path now. I think we are on a path where we're going to find ways to say yes to things like this. I was overwhelmingly, had an urge to say yes the second that I heard about this and say, let's make this happen. And that's what we have to do, as opposed to before where we often would find reasons to say, well, maybe not, or maybe no, or maybe we have to study it for a long time. And there's studying and consultation to be done. And City Council has a role to play in all of that, both the good news and the bad news. I mean, we've been responsible sometimes for the delays, and we're now going to work together. We're going to collaborate. The members of City Council, city staff, Waterfront Toronto, the Matthews family, the residents, and we're going to make this happen. And the other levels of government, I'm sure, will have a role to play in this as well, and we would look forward to that. And we look forward to the fact that it is Waterfront Toronto that's going to help us give life to this. It, by definition, is an organization that is owned by and financed by the three levels of government. So we're looking forward to working with them. And I should mention city builders and visionaries like Ken Greenberg. I want to thank Ken personally for the role he has played in helping the Matthews and helping us to bring us to where we are today. It is a tribute to Ken and to this city that there are people like him who are always finding ways and looking for ways and imagining ways to make the city better. It is so important. People like us in public office, we're not going to have all of the ideas on that. We're not going to have all of the good ideas. In fact, sometimes people might suggest we don't have very many, but the bottom line is if we can take advantage of the creativity and the generosity of people like the Matthews and Ken Greenberg and the whole team that was mentioned earlier on, we're going to be able to move the city forward. I spoke earlier about the need to reimagine the space under the Gardiner, both as a way to connect the city and as a way to create new public space. And I was happy to have been talking earlier in the spring, before the Matthews had even come in, about the fact that other cities have found creative and clever ways to do this with various elevated structures of one kind or another. And they've done some very magical things that are alive with people and so on. And clearly the area beneath the Gardiner here and in other parts of the Gardiner are ideal for that kind of revitalization. But the question really became, at a time of competing priorities, how to do it. How are we going to sort of start to make this happen? We'd seen the ideas from elsewhere. Today, I think the Matthews, with their generous gift and the beginnings of this process that will now be followed, you know, in good time, fast time, I think we have the answer to the question of how we're going to go about doing it. But the Matthews have demonstrated that individual passions and interests and ideas can really make a big difference in altering and making much better our landscape. Now, not every project is going to lead to a partnership like this, a financial partnership or otherwise, but I want to send the message today to everybody living in the city and to everybody in every neighborhood, every individual citizen, every group, every foundation, every company, every family, that we want to have a city here, and I want to lead a city that says yes to the art of the possible. And no matter how small some of the ideas are that people have about how they can and we can together improve our city, we want to form partnerships with them to make that happen. We shouldn't be looking for reasons to say no. We should be looking hard for reasons to say yes. And I think if we want to look at building the city of the future, whether it's our businesses or our people or our neighborhood groups and so on, then we should ask ourselves what role we can all play in making Toronto the city of the future. It's going to become more important as the city grows and as we have a greater need, as Judy said, for this space that is so necessary. It is the backyards and the front yards of the people who live in a lot of the developments that we've seen. And quite frankly, we haven't been as ambitious or as disciplined in making sure that as the city has grown and developed, we've made sure to make provision concurrently for this kind of public realm, open space and parkland. And so we want more people to share their ideas. We want them to be in touch with the city's partnership office to kind of make this thing happen. That's what that office is there for. And so I will challenge the people of Toronto in a friendly sort of partnership way to come forward with ideas like the Matthews did. I assure you, in my office and the offices of my council colleagues, you will have a very willing and eager audience. And I will just say in conclusion that I am looking forward to working together with the residents, with my council colleagues, with Waterfront Toronto to make this happen. And I know that it is going to serve as a shining example of what can be done when we all work together and take advantage of the generosity of individual people. I know how much people love the city, and I know how much they want the city to be connected and to be one, and to be a city that we can be even prouder of than we are today. And I think that if we do these things together, that we can be even prouder of the city than we already are, because there's lots to be proud of here, but we have to keep it as livable as it is, make it more livable, address some of the things perhaps we've either forgotten or omitted doing in the last number of years, and I think this is a great day today to move that forward. Thanks very much, and thank you for Matthew.
Thanks, Ken. It's a real pleasure to be here today to be part of a collaborative effort that aims to turn an empty space into a high-quality public space. I mean, it's a great, fantastic opportunity for Waterfront Toronto and for the city. And for that, I'd like to offer my most sincere thanks to Judy and Will Matthews. Their vision and their extraordinary generosity really shows the best of what this city can accomplish. And on behalf of Waterfront Toronto, I'd like to express our appreciation for the confidence you've shown in us by asking us to execute on this project. And to echo the Mayor's words, I'd also like to thank Ken Greenberg for his leadership on this project. This isn't the first time that Ken has put his talent and effort into making the waterfront better, and I'm sure it won't be his last. We're certainly proud that Waterfront Toronto was asked to execute this project, including the public consultation. It means that the effort and time we put in over the last 12 years is paying off, not just in terms of what we've built, but how we've done it. Our focus on public consultation and engagement means that the direct participation of citizens helps shape everything from our precinct master plans down to the smallest parks and public spaces, and this project will be no exception. Project Under Gardiner is meaningful to Waterfront Toronto for several reasons. First, it connects nearby neighbourhoods to the waterfront. We've always been aware of the challenges posed by the barriers between the waterfront and the rest of the city, the rail corridor and the Gardiner. People find the area underneath, it's unpleasant, it's dark, unwelcoming, despite what's on the other side. And creating connections is part of our mandate. But now that we've got a destination on the waterfront, to get to, the project is more meaningful. And this project shows how these connections can best be built. Secondly, project under Gardiner can inspire us to find new, creative ways to reuse spaces and maximize our urban environment. As we build more communities and revitalize the waterfront, this kind of creativity and innovation is crucial. And this project provides a good way to integrate that revitalization with a permanent condition of the Gardiner. It shows that we can live with the Gardiner and make it an asset, not a liability. It shows the power the space can have if it's designed right and the right goals are kept in mind. And the project is meaningful because there's now something, and more specifically, many things down there that will actually draw people to the waterfront. Now there's a there there with the revitalization of Queens Quay Boulevard. Our waterfront has reached a critical mass, and that has implications for the surrounding areas. And that makes this project, a project like this one, that seek to connect and stitch together these new and evolving areas so special. They're emerging as responses to the challenges that are being posed by our amazingly dynamic urban fabric. Project Under Gardiner is a wonderful act of generosity, a fantastic idea that will bring life and activity to a formerly sterile area of the city, a new way of connecting people to the waterfront, and a new model for public space in our increasingly dynamic city. And because this is a new model, the Matthews have recognized a new approach to operating and maintaining this new space would present a useful model for similar philanthropic initiatives. Therefore, they've asked the City and Waterfront Toronto to develop a self-sufficient funding model that ensures this new space has the enhanced operations and maintenance service levels needed to support a high volume of vibrant community programming and activities. The City and Waterfront Toronto are committed and highly motivated to developing this new model for us. Thank you.
For the last few years, Will and I have been looking for an interesting project. And by interesting, I mean trying to find a space that is neglected, vacant, but one that has the power to become a whole new kind of place, a vibrant new kind of place. And so when Ken and Mark and Adam of Public Work showed us this site, we were just blown away. It was just the majesty, the monumentality of it, and we saw in the incredible potential. And we thought if we could create this long linear path that we could connect all the existing and surrounding neighborhoods. And I use the word connect advisedly because I think in our fast-paced city, many people living in these vertical communities, that loneliness is a big problem. And that if we can help alleviate that, that's always good.